all the efforts being made to free the remaining hostages in Iraq. Last week, the Prime Minister told the House capital expenditure will grow until the year of the Olympics. The government's own figures show that is just not the case. Will he take this opportunity to correct what he told the House last week?
Yes, in the building of the Olympics, capital investment will rise very substantially. I can tell him that capital investment is rising from 29 billion to 37.7 billion and then to 44 billion in 2009-10, and that is to help complete the building of the Olympics. Thereafterwards, it will fall as a result of decisions that we've made. But I can tell him the comparison is between 44 billions of investment now and even in real terms a comparison with 99-92 when he was in charge of advising at the Treasury. We are investing 44 billion. He was investing only 16.
Cameron. I'm afraid that is just not good enough. Last week, the Prime Minister made a very clear statement to this House of Commons. He said capital expenditure will grow until the year of the Olympics. Now, here are the figures. Capital expenditure this year, 2009, is 44 billion. Next year, 2010, it is 36 billion. The year 2011, it is 29 billion. And in the year of the Olympics, 2012, it is 26 billion. That is a cut of almost half, from 44 billion to 26 billion. So will the Prime Minister now apologise, correct his statement, and admit he is cutting capital expenditure?
Speaker, I was just explaining how we had brought forward capital investment to last year and to this year. Mr. Speaker, the figure in 2006-07 for capital investment was 26 billion. It has risen to 38 billion in 2008-09 and to 44 billion in 2009-10. That is so we can advance capital expenditure to deal with the downturn. The problem for the right honourable gentleman is that he wants to cut capital investment now. He wants to cut it while we are increasing it. We are increasing it to complete the building of the Olympics and other projects, whereas his party would be cutting capital investment now. He has got to face up to the fact that he is going to spend less than us in every year.
Cameron. The Prime Minister has been caught absolutely red-handed. He made a statement to the House about capital expenditure growing every year, and the fact is it is being cut. If he believed in transparency and honesty and truth in public life, he would get up at that dispatch box and say, I'm sorry, I've got it wrong, I gave the wrong figures, here are the right ones. Now do it.
Mr. Speaker, I have explained to the House that money has been brought forward to 2008-09 and 2009-10. Instead of having expenditure of just 30 billion in 2008-09, it is 38 billion. Instead of expenditure of less in 2009-10, it's 44 billion. We took the decision to advance public expenditure to deal with the recession. Now let him come clean. He would be cutting public expenditure this year, next year, every year after. He is trying to evade his responsibility for wanting 10% cuts.
Mr. Speaker, in the answer before last, the Prime Minister talked about the year 2007-08. In the last answer, he talked about the year 2008-09. The fact is, those years have already happened. What he said at the dispatch box last week was that capital expenditure would grow between now and the Olympics. The figures are here in the budget book, page 226. Capital expenditure, 44 billion in 2009, falling to 36, then 29, and then in the year of the Olympics, 26 billion. There is no other way you can cut it. There's nowhere else he can hide. He's got to stand up, explain he got it wrong, and say that what he told the House last week was wrong. Why not do it for once?
Speaker, we brought forward spending to deal with the recession. I know he's against us bringing forward the spending, but we brought forward current and capital spending to deal with the recession. Now let me tell him that spending is 44 billion in the year 2009-10. That is the highest capital expenditure ever in our country. It compares with the recession years under the Tories, when capital spending was only 12 billion or 16 billion. We are taking the action to invest in our public services, they would cut our public services now? And why does he not admit that it will be 10% cuts in public services under the Conservatives?
David Cameron.
Let's first of all be clear about the Prime Minister's claims about Conservative policy. Even his own colleagues don't believe him. This is the report we had from last week's Cabinet. Darling pointed out that Brown's Tory cut figures did not represent the Conservative Party's policy, but were merely extrapolations. Now, it gets more interesting. Cooper, previously the Treasury Minister responsible for public spending, echoed his concerns. According to one source who was present, Brown was visibly irritated at the way he'd been undermined and brought the meeting to an early close. He says he wants to be a teacher. It sounds like he's lost control of the classroom. The Prime Minister, last week at that dispatch box, he did not talk about bringing forward capital expenditure. He said very clearly capital expenditure will grow until the year of the Olympics. Let me give him one more chance to show that talk of transparency and truth and honesty actually means something. Find that moral compass, stand up there and tell us you got it wrong.
Mr. Speaker, I read out the figures to the House. We are spending $38 billion in that year, 2008-9, more than the Tories would ever do. We are spending $44 billion in the coming year, more than the Tories would ever do. We are spending more money on capital investment than at any time in our history.
I apologise for interrupting the Prime Minister. There is simply far too much noise. The public doesn't like it, and neither do I. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, and we are spending $44 billion in the coming year, more than the Tories would ever do. We are spending more money on capital investment than at any time in our history.
I apologise for interrupting the Prime Minister. There is simply far too much noise. The public doesn't like it, and neither do I. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, and we've got to face up to the fact that a sensible debate in this country means that the Conservatives are going to cut spending on housing, on education, on policing, on all the vital public services. He cannot evade the fact that his figures are lower than any of ours in any year, and that is the truth about public spending in our country.
David Cameron.
Speaker, the entire country will have heard one very important thing. This Prime Minister cannot give a straight answer, and he's not a big enough man to say he got it wrong.
Mr. Speaker, he is the party of 10% cuts in public expenditure. He is the party that would cut the vital public services at a time of recession. We have brought forward public expenditure to help people stay in their homes, to help people get into jobs, to help build schools, to help build hospitals. These are exactly the public services that the Conservatives would cut, and they would cut by 10% savagely, and that is not going to be allowed to happen.
Order. Mr. Fabricant, you must calm yourself. It's not good for your health.
Michael Fabricant, former colleague in the Conservative benches of John Bercow.
To your new role as well. Speaker, on the Gurkhas, the Prime Minister was wrong and was forced to back down. On MPs' expenses, he was wrong and forced to back down. On the Iraq inquiry, he was wrong and is now being forced to back down. The only gear left for this government seems to be reverse. So when will we expect him to hear? When will we hear from him that he's wrong too on public spending?
Mr. Speaker, I'm not wrong on public spending. We want to increase public spending. And I'm not wrong on wanting to help people in difficulty in the recession by helping the unemployed, by helping homeowners. It is the Liberal Party that wants to cut public expenditure, not the Labour Party.
After all, the Conservatives enjoyed that bit. Thrown off his stride a bit, as Gordon Brown today.
I know it's the third time, but perhaps third time will be lucky. We must have some order in this House. Mr. Nick Clegg.
He can't keep avoiding the questions. Today, new figures from the EU have been published showing that we have the largest underlying deficit anywhere in Europe. Why doesn't he admit that balancing the nation's books are going to take big, difficult, long-term decisions? Nobody is fooled by his trick of dressing up cuts as investment. Now, we are setting out what needs to happen, unlike him and unlike him, on Trident, on baby bonds, on tax credits for high-income families. There are some ideas. Now, where are his?
Mr. Speaker, given that there is no problem of inflation at the moment in our country, and given that interest rates are low, it is right for us to take action to help people get into work. It is right for us to take action to help 150,000 businesses, as we are doing. It's right for us to move forward the housing programme and to move forward our programme of capital investment. These are the right things to do. I don't think the Liberals, with their proposals to cut public spending, are doing the right thing at the moment at all.
Mr. Jim Cunningham.
Thank you very much and congratulations on your election, Mr. Speaker. Can I ask my honourable friend, the Prime Minister, if he will spell out the implications of the public services for pensioners and the less well-off with a 10% cut proposed by the opposition?
It will increasingly become the choice within our country between us wanting to preserve our public services and wanting to expand them, and a Conservative Party that is determined to cut them by 10%. And once the public knows that that is the choice, they will have to explain in every constituency how many police and nurses and teachers are going to be cut as a result of their restrictions on spending.
James Duddridge.
Mr. Speaker, can the Prime Minister confirm whether he's had any correspondence, email, telephone